Okay, hello everybody. It's really good. Hello. It's great to see so many people here tonight on this momentous occasion. We're going to start off with just a few bits of words and descriptions of what we're doing here, just to let you know why we're here, just to remind everybody, and also so we make a little presence on YouTube, because we're going to be posting this event, or at least the first part of it, on YouTube, just so we let the whole world know what we're doing here in Kenmare. And so first of all, I'm going to introduce Una Comerford. She's a leading member in the Transition Town movement here in Kenmare. She was the founder member, if you like, until she got me dragged into the whole thing. And she is standing for the Green Party, which is one of the many people here tonight looking for a place in the local county council. And she's going to tell us all about transitions.
Here. Some people could say because it was free money and there's politicians involved. Sorry. There has to be a joke there somewhere. Transition Towns started in May last year in this town. It's looking forward to the future of climate change and oil depletion, and what we can do as a community to build resilience within our community in the face of those things. The first step we took is this: local currency. We can trade with each other, we can trust each other, we can form a stronger community. We have a very strong community, we're very lucky, but we can form a stronger community. We're going to be moving into the areas of food, looking at food and food production. We're going to look at energy production, we're going to look at how we move around, the transport in the area, rural transport schemes. We've lots and lots of ideas. So if you want to get involved, we meet monthly. Keep an eye out for the posters. Look at our website, Transition Towns, ning.com. Look up Kenmare. Look up my name, look up Steve's name, you'll see the information there. A lot of people are very interested and very curious in our currency, and people know what money is, but they don't understand how a complementary currency works. It's complementary, it runs alongside the euros. So Steve is going to explain, because he's much more into currencies and economics than I am, so he's going to explain exactly how the currency works. But I'm very glad that you're all here, and hopefully this is the start of something much bigger. Thank you.
Una said I'm much more experienced in economics. Well, if I'd been standing in front of you 6 months ago and telling you about economics, I would have been astounded. I would have been really shocked that I would have known anything about it at all. But in those 6 months, we had a presentation here in the Kenmare, in a Brook Lane hotel, and via Skype, by Richard Douthwaite, who is our local Irish economic expert, or at least an expert in what might be coming along the line. And he would be an expert in what we would call monetary theory, which most economists don't seem to be aware of. So, as the first move in my education in money, I watched a video called Money as Debt. Now that's a cartoon, it's available on YouTube if you want to look at it on YouTube. I also have a copy which we can show in other public meetings as we have done before. But that little cartoon lasts 45 minutes. Is astounding in the information that contains and how exactly the money system works. So it's a lot for people to understand, and explaining to people that they might not need to use the euro is a little bit like explaining to people that they can breathe underwater. They just don't accept it. How can that possibly be true? So anyway, I looked into all the other local and complementary currencies around the world and found that there are hundreds, literally hundreds of other currencies, just like the one we're evolving here tonight. Some of them are a lot more sophisticated than the one we're doing, and hopefully we might move into something like that in the future. But the most famous ones would be in Germany and in America and in Canada. In America we have currencies like the Berkshire, just outside the state of New York. We have Detroit Plenty, the new one that's just evolved, and Ithaca Hours, which is another way of devising a value for the currency in a time way. And we have in Europe we have the Chiemgauer and many other currencies in Germany. And within the transition movement, this has been seen as a good way of establishing resilience to the shocks that are coming. in Lewes in Sussex in England, they have released a money, and before that in Totnes in Devon, where the Transition Town movement really took off, they have their own pound there as well. I do believe they're also doing something, a project in Brixton in London too. So, why did we design a note like this? Well, I designed a note like this. You can look at the note over there. There's a nice large version of it that you can see there. Now, there's a lot to designing. There are lots of things you can do with designing a note. In fact, there's a whole art in itself, all the different symbolism and stuff that's involved in existing notes. Lots of things that people are passing around in their hands all the time that have all sorts of little messages on them. And on our little note, we have, you can see in the top left-hand corner, this green light shining down its energy onto the community. Go, go, go. We have the nest of Nadine. Nadine means little nest, of course, as everybody knows. And we've got some little gold nest eggs inside there, so maybe that gives an inclination as to value and being kept in a nest, safe little home. And on the right-hand side, you can see a pixelated version of a picture of Kenmare. Not in focus, but we want you to focus. We want you to start bringing Kenmare into focus. And maybe this is a way of doing that. You can see we've written at the top of that little picture, "In each other we trust." Now, that's something that I copied from the Berkshire note, not the Berkshire note, but another note called Burlington Bread from the United States. I thought it was a good thing to put on a note, and something that really shows what money is about, because money as a piece of paper in itself isn't really worth anything at all. And you might attach some value to it, and the person you give it to might attach some value to it, but it's not really valuable to the person you give it to unless they can give it to somebody else, and they can give it to somebody else, and that we all trust that it's worth what we think it's worth. Now, at the moment, the number of those little notes and tokens of currency that we're using in Ireland are becoming less, and there's fewer and fewer of them circulating around the table of the game we play called economy. And that's the result of the fact that less and less money is being put into the system. And unfortunately, the way that the money system is operated at the moment all over the world is the only way that money gets on the table is by people borrowing it. And so the only way we're going to get more money on our table is to borrow it, at least with euros anyway. And is anybody in this room prepared to borrow more money than they've already borrowed? Because most people in this country are already up to their necks in debt. And certainly all over the world that's the case. So how are they going to convince us all to borrow more? So our currency system that we're evolving here isn't going to solve all the problems straight away. But what we're trying to do is to start getting people to think, okay, what is this money? And how is money working in our community? At the moment, our community is like a leaking bucket. There's lots of holes in that bucket, and any money that's being poured in is flowing straight out again. So how can we help plug some of those holes? Well, one of the ways we can do it is to put some of those euros into a safe place and use our own currency notes to replace those for a limited time at least, just to give people a taste of what this might be like. So we've got about 2,800 notes we got printed. Those will be sold for 2,800 euros. Those 2,800 euros, ordinary European euros, will be kept in a safe place until the end of September. We're not sure whether we're going to keep it in a bank or not, because we're not quite sure how safe a bank would be. But we're going to keep that money in a safe place anyway, I can assure you, probably underneath somebody's bed. And that money will be available again at the end of September, when you'll be able to cash your Kenmare euros back into ordinary euros, just to reassure people for the moment that they're not going to actually lose anything. Okay? Now, some people might want to keep their Kenmare euros. Hopefully, many people want to keep them. For instance, tourists or members of the audience here, members of our community might want to send them to their friends in America or England or Australia or wherever. And